The most important tips for parents to keep in mind when they're negotiating their differences, first and foremost, is to have a united plan that they're presenting to their children. And when they disagree, the most important thing is not to undermine or sabotage the other parent in front of the child. As hard as it may be at times to go along with something that your husband or wife is saying, especially if you totally think they don't know what they're talking about, you really want to give your children the message that you're working together, that there's teamwork. And after the situation occurs, you want to go over to your spouse and say, look, I'd like to talk about this with you. Then, when you address it with them, the most important thing is never start with a blame or an accusation. You shouldn't do this. Why did you say that? But instead, if you don't understand where they're coming from, ask, why did you say it was okay for him to stay out after 11 o'clock? That's something that I find upsetting, and let your spouse know your feelings about it. Hear what they're saying, and then let them know, I'd like to share my thoughts on the topic, and I'd like for us to be able to talk about it so that we can work out an arrangement which is comfortable for both of us. You want to address it in a way that is not antagonistic. You want to hear and understand where your spouse is coming from, and you want to make room for being able to share your concerns, and then move into how do we work together as a team and how do we problem solve it. You know, one of the hardest things when you're dealing with divorce and living your life separate from your spouse and taking care of your children is the full impact that you are divorced and you really no longer are attempting to work with cooperative spirit. Some couples can get along and work things out, but the majority of couples really have a difficult time because they have such different styles, never had the resources for working things out, which is ultimately why they wound up divorced. The most that you really can do is encourage your children and teach your children how to speak up for themselves, how to negotiate for themselves, and how to talk directly to the parent, because trying to get your spouse to change the way that they do things will just keep you locked into combat and really feeling upset, not only angry, but really defeated. For example, I remember one couple that I worked with after they got divorced. She came in so upset because her husband was letting her son drive in the car without a seatbelt at times and putting down the window and hanging his head out that she felt was so potentially dangerous. And he refused to put the window up or put the seatbelt on. And I said to her, he's not going to hear it. The most important and most control that you can take is teach your son the value and the importance of wearing a seatbelt, and encourage him to insist that when he's in the car, Daddy, I want to put my seatbelt on, and to teach him that he can put the window up so that he can start to feel safe and secure. The most important thing also, and this is really the challenge for a lot of couples who are divorced, to be able to preserve and keep the premium on your dad, your mom knows what they're doing, and you want to work with them and you want to listen to them. So you always want to speak in a supportive, positive way. You never want to demean or take shots at your spouse to say, you know, oh, your father, he's such a jerk, or your mother, she's always, you know, impossible. You want to make sure that the kids hear respect on your part, and always encourage them to be respectful and to learn the limits that whatever that parent is going to put in place, they're going to have to learn how to work with them. If you're a single parent, the most important thing that you must do is build a support network and have your team of helpers who are there for you, your go-to people that you can turn to, from your nanny to the person who's going to come in and help you cleaning up around the house if you can, to your friend that you can call in the middle of the night when you've just had it up to here, your own family members, maybe a mother, dad, sister, brother, people that you know you can turn to for emotional support and also for concrete hands-on help, because there's just so much that goes on and one person realistically cannot do it all. So put those players in place and know that they're there for you, and make sure you turn to them without thinking, I have to do this on my own, otherwise I'm not being a good parent.